So, in doing repairs for the little atomic 4 we have here that had the wiring fire, we're going to remove this wire, which had no fuse. It was ran to the back of the alternator, and we're going to replace it with what's recommended by the wiring diagram, 50 amp fuse. Inline blade fuse is what we're going to use here. The owner bought this, brought it in, so it will be used. So this will now be our connection from starter to alternator with fuse in it. Fuses are very, very important, especially when you're messing with electrical that's going to be near gas. Stay tuned. Okay, on this particular project, we've removed the wiring that actually rubbed across other wiring, and well, as you can see, it started to melt everything, shorted out. So we've removed the wire that was in here that was melted, and it was in the charging and starting system. So we've got all that out, and now we're going to reroute the battery so that our battery actually connects to our safety switch. Now the first thing we have to do is we have to test that and make sure it actually functions. And the way you do that is with an ohm meter. It's hot in here. Need to get a fan going. Okay, so I'm going to be rolling out from the batteries to the terminal switch so I can have to the fuse panel, from the breaker switch to the fuse panel. I'm going to be rolling out some 8 gauge, 8 AUG, and putting ends on this so that we can have everything go through a fuse breaker on this particular vessel so that we don't have any fire in the future. It'll blow a breaker, which is safer than having the vessel burn up. So we're going to get started on this, do a few of these. Basically, it's just going to be me working on a boat today. Never put your glasses on with the knife in your hand. It looks dangerous. Then I poke a wire in my eye. You know, I've been putting off working on my own vessel because the season picked up and people have got word out that I can work on these darn things, and it's helping me to afford what I've been doing. And basically I'm able to buy things for myself. I've bought a truck from a good family friend, and you know, I had other family members telling me, don't buy the truck, don't buy the truck, don't buy the truck. Well, I bought it. I put a little bit of money in it. I put maybe an extra $1,000 in it and got it running. I put a new carburetor, new batteries, new fuel pump, and some gas line on it, and she's running great. So I don't see any problem there. Now I got to go through this assortment over here. So basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to set myself up to where I can haul my boats anywhere I want to go with them and simply drop anchor and be floating, you know, be out on the water, be doing what I want to do, be enjoying life. We live in large like the O'Kellys and Bo and Brandy and everybody else that I watch. You know, there's so many. And most of you guys I started watching because I was looking for a little information like solar selling, and now Atticus has got a bigger boat, and Bo and Brandy have kept promising to make us a video on those Chevy Volt battery packs that Bo's got wired up in that thing, and I'm still waiting to see all this, and I'm anxious because, hey, I'm not going to lie to you, there's a lot of things that I already knew how to do, but there's a lot of things that I'm learning from you guys. And basically, as far as fiberglass and work goes, I've just been improving on what I know how to do. I was never the best, but I noticed people that were claiming to be great at it, and I'm doing better work than them on it. So I'm not going to break my arm patting myself on the back. But I mean, I've watched several people and picked up some little ideas along the way, and this little tool in my hand, as a matter of fact, I got the idea of this from watching someone else's solar panel building video, and it wasn't Will. I can't remember who it was. I know many of you are familiar with the little Will Sprouse guy. He's got some great videos out there. But I would have never thought for this. And if it wouldn't have been for COVID, I would have ordered this from another distributor who marks it up 30 times higher than what it was. So I got that off of Wish and saved a lot of money. I'm not too crazy about this Ambridge torch. It's very hard to light. It's full. All these times it hadn't lit. It's not a Zippo, is it? There we go. Finally, it lights. I think this is $25. It's going to be going back to the purchase store. Get me a different one. And it goes out. Alright, and then once you see the little bead of glue come out of the back of these fittings, that's when you're done, whenever that little bead of glue comes out, because that makes it a watertight seal. Lay that down where it won't damage anything. Now, this is going to be a predetermined length, and I'm pretty sure I've got enough in here to make my jumper. So I'm going to go ahead and make this work, and what we're going to have to do is change camera angle. And I'm going to go up in the lazarette and lay in the locker and do all the wiring from the other side of the wall here in the galley and get this vessel ready to be electrified to the motor. And it is a gas engine. It's an Atomic 4, and this is the one that I was showing you earlier. I'll connect some link to the pictures on this, or put the pictures in this. Kind of rambling right now. I'll add pictures to this of the almost catastrophic end that this vessel just about suffered, and we're going to make some changes so that it's safer for Eno and his family to be on this vessel. And whenever I get done with my work, I'm anticipating that nothing has to be done to this electrical system as long as I live. So hopefully this is going to be something he can pass on down to his family again, and this vessel can stay in the family for years to come, and it be safe because things are fused out. And down in this bottom drawer are 4 extra 50 amp fuses, and there's some 40 amp blades also, but that's in the loop from the starter to the alternator, and I'll show you all that whenever we get a little further on. We're going to put some ends on the 800 watt inverter. We're going to put some connection ends on the battery tender so that it's not the little clips, but it'll be bolted straight into the battery. Now, you can hear all this. This is from motorboaters just flying by, getting within 100 feet or less of the dock and just hitting the wake as hard as they can because they like to see the sailboats jump around. Truth to be known, Coast Guard regulation is if you damage one of these boats or all of these boats out here, your boater's insurance is responsible if someone's got a video of you damaging or causing the weight that did the damage. So boaters, be responsible. Remember, when you're going by a marina or a sailing club, you need to slow down because you're responsible for your wake and the damage that your wake does. So that's enough of that. No more bitch wings from me. Let's get into the lazarette and work. So if you look around down here in the bowels of the boat, that's where I'm at, all folded up, laying around. Try to be very, very mindful that you don't put any weight on these through holes, because I have no bungs in here in case anything gets broken. So if anything were to get broken, this vessel will start going down before we could get a bung hole in it to stop it, because there's none on the vessel. Always have some bung plugs so that you can plug these things up if anything happens on your vessel. Now down here we had this beautiful fuse panel. I switched the fuses up so that the lower 10s are at the top, 15s, 20s, 25, 30, as you get closer to the supply. This is wired into the main breaker, so nothing can be on if this is off. This is off if that is off. So basically, the way I'm going to wire the vessel is so that you have to turn the power on for fire to come down this wire and make it to the engine. So if you cut that, you cut everything. That is a main safety breaker. They'll run right down here to the batteries, which are secured here. These alligator clips are going to be replaced with terminal leads that look a little better than this and bolted to the battery. The inverter will be the only thing directly connected to the battery. Safety, but I think it'll be okay just having it connected to the batteries to run it off of one battery, not both. And then I'm eliminating some of the cluster that's in here, and we're getting everything put back together so that it won't look like spaghetti when I'm done, and we'll have it all nice and safe. See, this is going to be our bilge pumps and our running lights and nav lights and interior lights and all this other up in here. And this is already pre-wired. I had nothing to do with this. I am only putting this entire system here. This should have breakers in each one. So I'm going to put it to where it's separate, and it will also be legged to the main breaker. So if the main breaker is off, then it's all off. This way we have no drain on the battery. Now this is our ship to shore plug. So this runs over, goes over, up and under, and this runs out to the ship to shore plug, which is here. And then there's another plug in out of this that goes over to a strip that's on the interior of the vessel. Our key switch, this hole will have to be enlarged a little bit for our watertight keyhole and gauge system to set in. So you'll be within reach of the switch and the key if you kind of stand in the companionway. So back to wiring it up in the little tiny hole that I'm in. Be sure you've got silicone on the back of the screw as it goes through. This keeps your watertight vessel watertight. We don't want water in our vessel. So that bead of caulk's barely beading out all the way around. Then I'll snug them down a little bit. I don't want to over tighten them. I want to give it some room for some squeeze out. If you over tighten on this plastic stuff, it goes to snapping and breaking and popping. Because all you're really doing is the screws are just kind of holding up against your silicone, and your silicone's making your bond. Now, I've got a cup tied to a piece of wire that was in here. They were using telephone wire to wire this boat. Not recommended. So I'll throw my cup over here to the water, dip up just a little bit of water, take your finger, wet it, and just trace around. Then rinse it back off in the water. Come on around. And that makes a nice clean joint. Don't want any extra up here at the hinge. And then there's 4 holes where they had a wooden plate over the hole. What we're going to do is put a little bead of caulk in that and then smooth it off. Give each one of them a little dab of caulk. And going a big squirting pigtail out the back of it's never necessary. I see a lot of people that do that. That doesn't adhere to anything. All you're doing right here is just making a little lobe intrusion. You're making it watertight again. That's all we're doing. Rinse your finger off. Wipe it off. There'll be a little divot. Wipe off anything you got here, and it just washes right off in your little cup of water. And now all we've got to do is just wait, and that'll be ready to mess with in a little bit. I'm going to give it about an hour of cure time. Now this is where their old board was on here. That'll wipe off in a little while, and we'll clean her up. So basically I've got the oil sending unit to connect, the water temperature sending unit to connect, and I've got to connect one wire to the alternator. This installation is done and the wiring is complete. Thanks for viewing. Like, subscribe, and follow. I can hear the water squirting out the back, so the pump's working. It's been running 30 minutes and the needle just came off the bar. So it's after 30 minutes, it's 140 degrees. So water temperature works, oil pressure sustained, and we got a problem with this amp meter.